Howdy, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be using an embossing folder along with some dewdrops and some Brusho to create a beautiful thinking of you card using stamps by Visible Image. So to begin, we are going to need to puncture a hole in our Brusho bottle. You just stick your push pin into this little hole that's at the top of your Brusho bottle. That hole is also at the top of these Brusho bottles that have the sticker on them. See, if you look right there, that's where that little hole is. When I bought my Brushos originally, I bought 5 and they came with a little label up at the top, whereas this Brusho bottle and a couple of others that I've bought recently, they don't have a label at the top. I'm gonna have to make a label later. You don't really need more than what comes out of here, because if you opened it, it would make a mess everywhere. I mean, it might not make a watercolory mess, but it would definitely make a mess because of all the powder that's in here. So we've got our water bottle and our Brusho, and we're just going to use regular white cardstock today. Previously, I've worked with watercolor paper on Brusho, and it's worked out pretty well. I've also done Brusho with cardstock, but this is the first time I'm doing it on camera. So all you do is just kick the dust out of the little bottle, stick the push pin back in there. That'll close it back up for you. Then you need to just spray. If you want to, you can bring some more Brusho back in. Now we're going to take our embossing folder and our white cardstock, and we are going to run this through our die cut machine to create an impression. So let's grab that machine. Use the hand crank, and it's done embossing. There's a bit of a mess on our table. That's because the Brusho and the water. So we're just going to take some kitchen towel and clean it up. Now back to this cardstock piece that we put in our embossing folder with the Brusho. Creates this really beautiful background. You could use the deboss side or the emboss side. I'm going to go with the deboss side because it's just so pretty. So now we're going to wait for this to dry a bit, and once it is, we will bring in our dewdrops and attach them onto here. But of course, this is going to be our card front, so we need to grab our card base. So our Teflon bone folder helps to crease our card front, and it doesn't leave any shine, while a plastic bone folder totally would. So now we're going to use the stamp from this Thinking of You stamp set by Visible Image. And we're still waiting on our pretty little cardstock piece to dry up. We did put quite a bit of water in there to activate the Brusho powder, so let's give that a little more time. So we are going to stamp our sentiment right here. So we're just going to use our intense black to stamp our sentiment. and bring in our microfiber cloth to help us smooth. Make sure that our stamping is smooth. So we're going to stamp that sentiment one more time. So there, that looks really nice. Now we just need to grab a die cut to die cut our sentiment, because we are going to place it on our white cardstock panel. Yeah, I really like how that side looks. I just love how pretty Brusho is, because you get so many different colors in the one bottle. So now we're going to just die cut this sentiment. Use some washi tape to stick it in place. And since it's so small, we're just going to use our Sizzix Sidekick to help us do the die cutting. So we just need to move that little handle over there. There, now we have a pretty little sentiment all die cut, and we can place that over our card front panel. So it's still a little damp. So we're just going to use our heated craft tool to heat up this card front. Now the reason we're using the heated tool as opposed to our heat embossing gun is because this applies a lower amount of heat to our card front as opposed to the amount of heat that our heat embossing gun would do. It's pretty dry now, so there is still a bit of warping to this card front, and for that I just like to use tear-it tape to attach the card front to the card base. Rather than using the tear tape, you could always just stick your card front inside of a book and hope that that helps to smooth it out. But since we embossed over this, I'm afraid that that would possibly take out the embossing folder effect. I think that this sentiment goes really nicely with the embossing folder we used and the look that the embossing folder combined with the Brusho created. And that sentiment for the inside is going to say, when skies seem dark and times get tough and you don't know what to do, just know that you have a friend right here to support and help you through. So we are going to stamp that inside of our card first, and then that'll help our panel get a little more time to be dry. So we're going to flip our card this way. This is going to actually be the inside of the card rather than the outside, but because I don't want to mess up the fold of the card, we're just going to do it this way. So now we just need to make sure that our sentiment is straight on the stamp platform. Yeah, that looks really nice. Okay, so we are going to bring the intense black ink back in and just stamp our sentiment. This is why I like the stamp press, because you can just stick your card in there and keep applying ink to your stamp without having to worry about repositioning it or making sure that it's in the right place. Especially for sentiments like this. since it's such a big one. There you go, that looks really nice. So now we just need to fold it back, and there's our little sentiment inside our card, and then there is the rest of our card base. So now we're going to bring in our tear tape to help us secure this card front to the base, and to also help with the fact that it is a bit warped from when my tear tape gets a little too close to the edge of the card base, I like to just bring in some scissors and snip it off. Now we just need to bring in our tool-in-one to help us remove the backing from our tear tape. Now I believe the embossing folder we used is retired, but if it's not, I will provide a link for you in the description box to where you can find it. And if it is, I will provide the name of, well, I'm going to provide the name of the embossing folder either way. It's just one way might take a little bit of more looking around, since I think it might be a retired embossing folder. So now we're bringing our stamping platform back in, and we are just going to use this edge to help us make sure that the card front and the card panel line up nicely. There you go. And now we're just going to grab some foam tape to help us pop our sentiment up a bit. So that'll look really pretty once we get it on there nice and straight. And for that, we're going to use our T-square to help us line this piece up. Okay. So the embossing folder that we used is a Tim Holtz Embossing Folder. He does make some really cool designs. You could leave this card as is, but we're just going to add a couple of dewdrops. So I think, which dewdrops do we want to add? I don't think we want to add the purple, because I think it would take away from the purple, and I was thinking we wanted to use these, but let me see if I like how they look on the card. Okay, now we're just gonna stick you down. We're not gonna place any glue yet, but I mean, it's nice, but I think it might lose itself in the fact that our piece has so many different colors. So I think I still want to add some dewdrops, but since I know they might not show up as well, I'm going to work with that and use the clear dewdrops instead. You know what? I'm going to go with black instead. I like the idea of using black. we're going to use our liquid glass to help us place our dewdrops on the front of our card. So I like to keep a push pin in there. Now the downside to keeping a push pin in my liquid glass is this. It does get a bit sticky on the push pin, meaning that the glue likes to dry on there. And also it likes to turn some of the pieces that stick onto the push pin black, and then they wind up getting stuck in my bottle. So that I don't like, but I don't really know of any other way to keep my bottle nice and ready for whenever I need to use it. I think that looks really nice. So this is our card for the day, using these wonderful dewdrops from the Robin's Nest. Do you have a specific type of adhesive you like to use when you use your dewdrops? Or do you have a specific jewel picker you like to use? So if you have any crafting questions or comments about what you use with your dewdrops, please leave them in the comment box below. In the description box, I will provide links to the materials that I used in today's video. If you like what you saw, please click the like button. If you wish to see future videos from me, please click the subscribe button. I hope y'all stay healthy, stay safe, stay happy, and stay crafty. Bye.